Welcome to Coffee and Monsters. My name is Jeremy. I make a fun monster each week. Hit that subscribe and follow along. Today we're making Frank the Pizza Monster. Start with some aluminum foil and some cosclay. Get it nice and conditioned. I'll repair a few places in my armature before I start layering. Pick out an eyeball out of the eyeball bucket. I'll just use a little clay to surround those to both lock the glass cabochons into place and also create some eyelids. Use my silicone shapers to add a little texture. Then I'll take the same base color green and wrap back around to make a clean edge. Get that guy pinned down. There we go. Add some texture with my texture tool. Make some teeth out of some glow-in-the-dark cosclay. Blend those in a little before I add the lip. And blend the bottom of that lip in too. And we'll just add a bunch of texture to the lip. Use some cosclay doll to make some pizza slices.
Pizza.
Give it the rough shape, and of course we've got to roll the dough out a little bit. That's what makes it a pizza. Add a little cheese texture. And some pepperonis.
Pizza. Pizza.
Make his legs. I'll start with one piece of clay and divide it evenly. And I'll separate the toes with an X-Acto blade. Sort of soften and texturize everything. Of course, we need some toenails. Once I've got my position determined, I can use some monster bones. Help support the leg. If I can get it back out there. There we go. Use a little oven-baked clay adhesive to help these bond. And I'll do the same thing for the arms. I'll start with one piece of clay, divide it evenly, separate the hands. Once I've got the texture rolled on these, add them to the body. Blend in the shoulders. Of course, pepperonis need a little texture too.
Pizza.
Who is that guy? Ah, yes. Time for the pizza bone. I'll just carefully line this up and slide that down through the crust. He doesn't eat the crusts anyway. And squeeze his thumb down. Here I'm making him some ears. Just texturizing the inner part before I shape them out. I'll try them on in a couple places before I figure out where they go. Add a few monster bones for support. Once I press that all the way down, I'll blend that in. Add a little extra clay in the back for support. And blend all that in. Do the same thing on the other side. I'll brush the whole sculpture down with some isopropyl alcohol to remove my fingerprints and any tool marks. Bake this guy in the oven for about an hour and 15 minutes. Now that he's baked and cooled down, I'll sand him down and dust him off before I begin to paint. I'll start with a wash coat of some burnt sienna. Just want to get this down into all the cracks, crevices, help bring some dimension to the character. This is the trust the process phase. Now that he's dry, I'll lightly brush on some green, bringing back some of his color, but leaving a lot of that brown down in the cracks. Now I'll take a lighter version of that green and kind of scrub, do a little bit of a dry brush to help that texture pop out even more. Now I'll take some darker green and just do some highlights on his fingers and toes and ears. I'll slide a paper towel between the ear and the body so I don't get paint everywhere. Do the same thing on the other side. I've watered down some red here to put a thin coat over the lip. All the paints that I'm using are the Folk Art matte acrylics. Time to paint his nails copper. Time to paint the pizza. Do a lot of wet blending on this with some white and yellow and brown and red. Try not to mix too much of the white and red. I don't want to create pink on the pizza.
Pizza.
And touch up the pepperonis. Last thing is to do is give it a grease wash. Because, you know, greasy pizza, right? And it was at this point Frank did request I take a paper towel and maybe dab some of that grease off. It was a little too greasy for his taste. So we'll do that for you, Frank.
Pizza.
Here I just sort of marked off a grid to make a floor design. I thought Frank would just be sitting in the kitchen floor eating his pizza. I thinned down this black paint slightly so it would move a little easier for me. And let's paint the edge red. Add a little polyurethane to the lip and the teeth and the pizza. Give it a nice shine. Of course, some E6000 under the sculpture to bond it to the base. I've drilled some shallow holes in the base to help the epoxy bond to the sculpture. Add a little under the pizza too.
Pizza.
And with that, Frank is all finished. As always, I appreciate everybody watching Coffee and Monsters. If you'd like to see the derpy fun monster I create each week, hit that subscribe, follow along. Until next time, thanks everyone for watching Coffee and Monsters.
Pizza.